Hello and welcome everyone back to the study season at TE Academy. We'll have the final session today with Shermin on the token design thinking framework, a structured approach for crypto founders, protocol designers, and token engineers. This is the fourth session we run on this topic, and today we'll see who has passed the criteria for the submissions we've received, working on a case study and exploring a token model via the token design thinking framework. So drum roll, I'm excited to see the results that we'll share in a moment, so highlights from submissions and also, of course, the total list of students who have passed. Before we dig into that, I just want to share that we'll run an event on the future of crypto impact measurement next Tuesday, together with Open Source Observer, MetaGov, and HyperCerts. We'll discuss how we can make quantitative measurement of impact work in crypto. And this is, of course, an important one. What tools do we have? What approaches seem to be valid? And what do we have to keep in mind when trying to measure impact in a quantitative way? This, of course, also is related to what we are trying to achieve with the reputation-based voting mechanism that we are currently working on. And we have some great projects on board to discuss this topic with. Next Tuesday, you can sign up. It's again a Zoom call via the QR code. All right, now I bet you're all excited about, did my submission pass? And just some more words on this NFT thing. So every live track in the study season offers an NFT. So if you passed proof of knowledge criteria, you are eligible to receive an NFT. And in this case, we had a submission date last week, and we received a great number of submissions working on the case study we have set up for this live track. And we'll now share some highlights in submissions, and after the session, we'll share the final list of recipients on Discord. And of course, we'll contact everybody also via email so that you have all the information you need to receive your NFT. Just generally, it works like this. We'll airdrop this NFT to all students who are eligible. So no further action required on your end. We'll let you know by when you can expect them. Yeah, then you'll find them in your profile and you'll get a note once the airdrop has been completed. So you just don't have to do anything in this respect, and we'll keep you posted. All right, and that said, I'm now keen to hear. Shermin, first of all, welcome back to the session. Thank you for joining us again. Thank you for this series of sessions about the token design thinking framework. And let's dig in. So let's take a look at the submissions and the case studies and just explore step by step your observations and good or maybe things to improve. Stage is yours.
Thank you. All right, let me share the screen. This is a bit weird.
So screen sharing should be on.
Yeah, but I don't find the, here it is. All right. Though view, default screen. Okay, so today we will look at the use case of Ocean Protocol. For those who are attending the live screen and don't know, the people attending the token engineering kind of class or batch, they had 2 weeks or a week to study Ocean Protocol, use the design thinking framework to analyze the use case according to this framework. They submitted the results Most people passed in the sense that they would get an NFT. Some people didn't, probably had too little time to really, because it is a lot of work, A, to study the use case, B, to really go through all the questions or the selected questions. It wasn't the whole design thinking framework, selected questions, but it's still a lot of work. So I understand that some people did not have the time and or the patience to do this next to their jobs or regular life. So unfortunately, those did not pass. Angela will be sharing the results, as she said before. I asked Angela to verify my kind of my assessment, and she agreed. So it was 4 eyes principle on deciding who passed and who didn't. Okay. So before maybe we dig into, I would like to share a few examples of 3 different students. But maybe, Angela, before we start, I would like to ask the crowd what maybe 2 or 3 people who could comment what the greatest challenges were in fulfilling this task.
Yeah, great idea. Just raise your hand, switch on your mic, drop a note to the channel. Biggest challenge for you working on the design thinking framework and
Or
the case study?
any other feedback? Was it easy or yeah? Anyone?
No complaints, no challenges.
No complaints, no challenges. Okay.
All right, I'll just share my observation. So I would say I was sort of familiar with the Ocean protocol, and but still, it's a very complicated ecosystem with 5 tokens. So some questions were specific to the tokens, and to get the answer to those, I had to do a lot of searching, and there were times where I was not really successful in getting the specific answer.
Yes, I'm not surprised. I think most people should have had the research on this use case is quite complex, also because the protocol changed so many times, and the documentation is it's unclear. There is no timeline for the documentation. It's really hard to research. I spent a lot of time also researching it, so I know that quite well. Any kind of a use case is quite challenging to research, especially the use cases where there have been many protocol changes over history. It's hard to know when what happened and which information is still up to date. So I had 2 interviews with Trent. Personal interviews, or 1 interview or 1 kind of face-to-face session, and then an email session where I had to clarify which stakeholders still exist, which don't exist anymore, etc. So I fully understand, Vishu.
Carrie, you are raising your hand. Would you like to share?
Oh yes. I just wanted to kind of amplify what you just said about the idea, because I did look at Ocean Protocol in the past, in the last 2 years, and I went through the white papers and everything else, and a lot of things have kind of changed.
Yeah.
So that, I think, was like one of the challenges.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I wanted to work with someone, and like I finally did, but kind of connecting with them in their time zone and kind of splitting the work was also, I mean, it wasn't a major challenge, but it was something that had to be dealt with also. So
yeah, and you didn't have a lot of time. You have to.
Right.
I will be presenting kind of my analysis of the use case, which is also outlined in the book. But like I spent weeks researching this, so I fully understand that your kind of results after only 1 week of doing this, and probably not full time, very likely not full time, will not be the same as my results. This is quite, and that was not the idea. The idea was to make you dig into another use case using this framework. And I would like to share with you now kind of my results or my analysis. So, and also go over the challenges of how to come to those conclusions. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are not any other comments, maybe I would like to share. So Gesa Schneider, I selected, I liked Gesa Schneider's approach. She really, she or he, really used or made a lot of effort, not only listing the stakeholder types, but also grouping them. And I like that quite a lot. Also use the existing stakeholder matrix template from the Google Sheets to analyze the stakeholders. There was some unclarity with the rights and permissions, but we will go over this. I saw that there was quite a level of detail put into doing this analysis. When the economic design was, I would suggest, and I think everyone, most people struggled with analyzing the properties of the economic properties of the token. It does not help if you don't stick to the template, because what I see here is that kind of the different criteria, the different properties were taken, and then instead of using one template per token type, I think that's easier when you analyze it. Maybe this was done to cover for the fact that there weren't answers for all of the tokens, but it's better not to answer a question where you don't know how to answer it, but use the template as it is. It really helps in the analysis, whether you're designing your own token system or analyzing an existing token system. And we will go through the results or through my analysis a bit later. But still, I liked this presentation quite a lot. Obviously, there were many more slides to that. These were just a few examples. 1 LV, so I assume that's also was quite meticulous in analyzing the stakeholders, the roles, functions, rights and permissions, rewards and obligations. So that was quite well done. Analyzing the token, just 2 tokens were selected. We will see that there are 5 tokens, and yeah, other than that, the analysis was quite good, and also the purpose and reality. I quite liked the analysis of the original purpose and how reality panned out. So I could see that this person went through an effort of understanding and applying the design thinking framework. The last showcase I would like to make was from Sebastian. Yeah, also took some time in identifying the stakeholder types and grouping them according to the different criteria. And in the economic design, like the people before, yeah, we have 3 token types here. There are 5. We will see why it's so hard to identify. And then again, here I would highly advise in the future, take the template and try to fill it out per token type. It's, at least for me, maybe it's different for you guys, but it's you don't lose the overview so much. You can focus on one token type at a time and the properties of a token type. Other than that, the analysis was quite good. Okay, so I won't be spending too much time. You know the use case, so just for the audience, the people who have tuned in the live stream, I will be repeating a few things that most of the people who did analyze the use case already know. So when it comes to the purpose, Ocean Protocol's purpose is quite clear, to provide a peer-to-peer data exchange protocol. Their idea was to create a decentralized marketplace that allows anyone to easily share the data they own and monetize the data they own in a privacy-preserving manner, while maintaining the provenance also of this data, who published it, who purchased it, and who consumed it, thereby tackling a lot of principal agent problems of the data economy that we have in Web 2. Sub-purpose is to kind of create higher quality data for data scientists via publicly verifiable audit trails, and to provide this in a privacy-preserving manner. The political principles, yeah, I'm not sure, the formatting is a bit off, sorry for that. The political principles, so the founders stated that for them, data is a common good, and they wanted to find ideal licensing schemes for these common goods and data to be shared, for-profit, non-profit, as well as mixed models. And another very important political principle of Ocean Protocol was to really create a decentralized and permissionless protocol on top of which other people could build their own in a permissionless fashion, and on top of which anyone could create their own specialized data exchange protocol. So the idea was to do this to, in the long term, create a data exchange protocol where you have the minimum possible human intervention, let's say. So as such, the idea of Ocean Protocol was to create kind of this distributed internet tribe. They originally called it the DAO, went away from the terminology because of, the terminology was not, was misused a bit. But as I said, one of the political principles was really to create a permissionless and decentralized system. Now, the history of Ocean Protocol is very important to understand, as I said before, because it also is one of the reasons why it is so hard to research. It is one of the older protocols, application protocols. The Ocean Protocol Foundation was set up in 2017. The first version of the protocol was deployed in 2018, but back then not all features that the protocol has today were available yet. Since 2018, the protocol has undergone massive changes. It had 4 major upgrades: version 1, version 2, version 3, and version 4. If you're interested in the details of what changed across the versions, it is analyzed in more detail in the book DAOs and Purpose-Driven Tokens. What is really interesting here in the history of Ocean Protocol is that they started out with 1 token only, the Ocean token. Now, today, they have 5 tokens after version 4. The data NFTs, data tokens, Ocean, the original Ocean token, V-Ocean, and H2O. And we will analyze all 5 tokens in detail a bit later. So I think what's also important to, so Ocean wants to be a decentralized organization, or wants to be decentralized in the future, but in the beginning, in the early years, and now, the governance layer has very much been shaped by the Ocean Protocol Foundation, and before even BigChainDB. So it started, if we look at the governance feedback loop, with Ocean Protocol Foundation set up in 2017. The first rule sets were kind of identified and designed, and eventually in 2018, in 2018 deployed with the version 1 of the protocol, constituting the first algorithmic constitution. Eventually, the first data scientists and data providers started to experiment with the protocol. With that feedback from the community over the years, the first adaptations were kind of worked into the protocol, and subsequent versions were released. When it comes to the functional design, so the most important function is the data market, like where the data providers and data users meet. So the idea was to create a collectively managed and publicly verifiable data market. So content provision, content curation is content consumption is public, and content curation had specific mechanism referred to as data farming. They have Ocean Protocol created an interesting functional design of how to have control over your data in a privacy-preserving manner, also via your Ethereum wallet. It builds on EVM-compatible Ethereum infrastructure and EVM-compatible infrastructure. Yeah, to make this work, because a lot of data is also part of this exchange protocol, and not only tokens, they needed to create an Ocean provider, which is kind of a system, kind of a middleware system architecture that you can either set up yourself or have someone set up for you as a third-party provider. Yeah. When it comes, yes, the idea was to have a permissionless infrastructure, a protocol stack that is open source, offering necessary developer tools that anyone can create, so that anyone can create their own third-party marketplace according to their own market rules. The only thing that is not central or will never be decentralized is the question of IP or privacy violations, intellectual property violations, and or other privacy violations need to be resolved in a centralized fashion via the Ocean Protocol Foundation, and they have a so-called purgatory process. This is something that cannot be decentralized yet, probably, or in the near future, also for regulatory reasons. Yeah, I think it's basically, I think everyone knows how Ocean Market works. Ocean Protocol Foundation set up a first application called Ocean Market, where they created a token-based system to match data owners and data providers and create kind of curation principles around this market. But anyone can really take the Ocean Market as a template, tweak the market rules, and create their own third-party marketplace. And many third-party marketplaces, or some third-party marketplaces, exist today, often industry consortia around automotive, etc. Okay, let's go into, I think, what is most interesting, the stakeholders and the tokens. Before we look at the tokens, it's very, I think, more important maybe to start with the stakeholders. I'm sure that many of you were confused analyzing the stakeholders, because many stakeholders that existed in version 1 or 2 didn't exist later on anymore. So the kind of stakeholders that you see here are the current stakeholders, or the most important current stakeholders. Here we see the internal stakeholders. First and foremost, the Ocean Protocol Foundation. In the early years, BigChainDB, a private company in Germany, still had a lot of governance powers, but over the years, this shifted towards the Ocean Protocol Foundation. But that might have been a bit confusing when you research this. Yes. Another stakeholder are the marketplaces. The first marketplace was Ocean Market. and any third-party market that built on top of the Ocean Protocol. And the latest very specialized type of market that Ocean Protocol brought out is Ocean Predictor. It's kind of a marketplace for very special purpose predictions, but it is also a marketplace for data exchange, but the data is not random data, it is prediction-based data. So these marketplaces, they are a stakeholder in the system, because they and these marketplaces, they have their own sub-stakeholders. Data publishers. So data publishers could they publish data assets they own, or they collect it, or they predict it on Predictor. It's data they predict on Ocean Market, third-party markets, or Ocean Predictor. Then you have the data consumers, the people or institutions that would consume data assets that others have collected, own, or have predicted via those different marketplaces. Another stakeholder group are the Ocean token holders. We will see later what Ocean is, but basically it's the native token of the protocol. It was the first token. It has various functions. Basically, you can use it to invest in for investment purposes, hold on to Ocean. But if by staking, for example, you can participate in data curation or execute various protocol or application functions. We will see that in detail a bit later. Then there is this one stakeholder group that still exists, the Ambassador Program. It's community contributors, members whose mission is to generate interest and activity in the Ocean Protocol and or inform other people about how it works. And then there is a stakeholder group around third-party ocean provider services. The important middleware is hard to set up. Most people might not be willing or have the time or the know-how to set it up themselves, and therefore they can use third-party ocean provider services, and stakeholders have or kind of institutions or service providers have emerged around this service. On the periphery of the network, we have peripheral or external stakeholders. Policymakers, as always, national, local, national, international policymakers are relevant since a data exchange protocol involves data. Obviously, privacy laws, IP laws and privacy laws on a national and international basis are relevant. So any changes in policy making on a national level or international level will affect Ocean Protocol or the ocean markets and the market rules. But not only IP law, privacy law, since Ocean has 5 different tokens, securities or financial market law might also apply. On the periphery, we also have DeFi and CeFi services that exchange those tokens, for example, or accept those tokens, or where you can maybe stake those tokens. So anything happening on the periphery of these decentralized or more centralized financial services, exchanging Ocean tokens, will also affect directly or indirectly affect the system. Ocean builds on Ethereum and EVM compatible infrastructure. So any changes in the Ethereum ecosystem, for better or worse, will also influence the Ocean kind of socioeconomic dynamics, not only the Ethereum ecosystem, but other Web3 protocols that might be used or might become more important all of a sudden. And then obviously we have non-human institutions the original idea was that ocean is being used by data scientists, and so any advances in data science or AI ecosystem evolution might influence that. Formal protocols, informal protocols, just like with any other Web3 protocol, cryptographic algorithms changes here might affect the ecosystem in one way or the other. Okay, so if we look at the single players a bit more in detail, so the Ocean Protocol Foundation and previously also BigChainDB, they are really, governance is centralized around Ocean Protocol Foundation. We can say that their role is protocol design, testing, and adaptations. They bootstrap, or their idea was that they will at least bootstrap the ocean ecosystem until it can fly alone with minimum intervention. That is their purpose. The activities of Ocean Protocol Foundation is to allocate funds to protocol development and ecosystem evolution. These funds were raised in token sales in the early years of the foundation, and they allocated the tokens or the proceeds of the token sale to different kind of, to the treasury, and allocated different types of percentages for different types of purposes and/or stakeholders in the future. Ocean Protocol Foundation also filters illegal data sets, IP violations that I mentioned before, and they distribute ocean tokens on an annual basis according to the schedule and the predefined allocation. They are the sole they have sole policy-making power, the representatives of the Ocean Protocol Foundation, and they have certain executive powers, for example, filtering illegal data sets. Their rewards and obligations, in theory, it's a non-profit foundation. They have non-financial goals. However, it is worth mentioning that active founding team members who work on Ocean Protocol in the foundation, in the core team, they received initial tokens. So there might be vested interests of people who might be bigger token holders, right? Even though I'm sure most of them also have the non-financial goals might be, you cannot negate the fact that you have some big ocean token holders who also might have financial goals. Ocean token holders are also a very important stakeholder group. They buy the network token and hold on to Ocean. And they can, with Ocean, they can participate in data curation or execute certain monetary policy activities, such as locking Ocean to earn interest, and they can lock Ocean to actively vote over data assets. They can also use Ocean in other DeFi and CeFi services, potentially earning interest, etc. The rights that are attached, and we will look at the rights in more detail later also, they have revenue rights, voting rights, executive rights. So revenue rights, if you have Ocean and you lock them, you can earn revenue on locking the Ocean tokens. Voting rights are not voting rights over protocol changes, but basically over data assets, kind of the importance of a data asset. We will look at the details later. Executive rights in the sense of if you lock your Ocean, you can also earn interest. And why is it an executive right? But because interest rate policies are kind of, it's a fiscal policy of the network, and that is executed decentrally via the Ocean token holders who want to participate in it or not. And obviously, they also have market power to create, they create demand for Ocean by kind of buying Ocean and selling Ocean. Ocean token, as for rewards and obligations, ocean token holders can earn rewards by locking up Ocean within within the protocol. They are the beneficiaries from potential appreciation of Ocean price if the protocol is more successful or gains more traction in the future as a growing usage of the protocol. So Ocean market, and other third-party markets provide decentralized marketplaces for matching data providers and data users. These markets can be more or less specialized and are independent from each other. The activities they develop, each marketplace can develop and maintain an application, their own smart contract logic, adapt fee structures where needed, onboard new types of users, market to new types of users. Obviously, they have, being a data exchange, they have market power by determining the market rules and defining the rights of the buyers and the sellers on their marketplaces. They also define which token is accepted as a payment token within the market, and they set the market fees. So Ocean market and other third-party markets or a predictor have a lot of market power in the system. The market operators earn fees on some or all market transactions, depending on the market rules. They need to comply with the general Ocean protocol meta rules, let's say. Now, data publishers on those different marketplaces, data publishers are a very important stakeholder. They provide the main asset, right? The data assets or the predictions on the different marketplaces. The activities are they share their data, they define the access price for that data that they provide, and the access rules. Access duration, access rules, access frequency, etc. They have obviously market power. They own the property rights and the attached management rights to the data sets that they provide. Yeah, they can monetize access to their data sets. So this is how they can make money, but they have the obligation to comply with local laws such as privacy laws, intellectual property, etc. They can try to breach the laws, but then there is this purgatory process where data sets can be taken down if a data publisher publishes a data set where over which they don't hold the IP.
Shermin, is it okay to take a quick comment on
Yes.
this stakeholder? I read it out, Susie, if that's okay. I thought that since Ocean retired passive and volume, the FV Ocean was no longer in use, and there's a link. I think what we have to take into account is that this analysis is dating from which month, Shermin?
I did this analysis end of last year. So
Right.
if anything changed, yes, maybe I should have, okay.
Yeah. This is a typical problem. Things are moving fast, and the locking V token aspect has changed over time. So keep in mind that this analysis is 6 months old. Still should apply in 90%, but
yes, I might be. This table though is very superficial, right? We will look at the different token types. This is just to get a general overview of kind of the role and the functions and the general rights and rewards. This is not detailed. This is kind of very high level. So maybe something gets lost in generalization. Yes, then the next stakeholder said data scientists or the data consumers are obviously very important. you have two sides of the marketplace, and both sides need to exist. Otherwise, you don't have a market. So on one hand, we need people who provide the data. On the other hand, we need the people who buy the data, and they would generally be the data scientists or consume the data services via the different marketplaces. Yeah, I'm just wondering if I should do this very much in detail, because we will later go to the 5 different tokens. Maybe we have more time for the tokens. They obviously pay, the data consumers, mostly data scientists, pay for data assets on the market with Ocean or other accepted tokens. The accepted tokens can be defined by the marketplaces. They can develop prediction algorithms. If for predictor, they can take data assets they bought at any marketplace and use this data to develop algorithms for specialized marketplaces such as predictor. They can also develop novel data science applications on Ocean Protocol. They have market power. They're the second side of the market, a very important side of the market. And they have usage rights, access rights, and certain management rights, depending on what rights are granted to a data set. These rights are bought or temporarily kind of accessed. The rewards and obligations can vary depending on the role they fulfill in kind of the network, because data scientists can have different roles. They can be data consumers, or they can build different applications on top of the protocol. Yes, Ocean provider is a service provider. I'm not going to go into the details. You will have time to read this much more in detail, obviously, in the book. This table is a super, it's a super condensed summary. Ocean Predictor is a specialized marketplace. I'm not going to go into the details of Ocean Predictor here. Then obviously regulators, they define the regulatory framework of what is allowed on those markets. So they have a lot of market power. Also, I already talked about most of that. And DeFi and CeFi exchanges, obviously, I also talked about that. Okay, let's look at the different tokens, maybe spend the rest of the time analyzing the tokens in detail, because I know that this was where most of you struggled, in identifying all 5 tokens, which was already hard, and then really looking at the properties in detail. And maybe Angela, if anyone has questions, we can address them directly. I think in this case, it would make sense.
Okay, perfect.
So, yeah, data. So I'm not starting with the first token that existed, Ocean token, kind of the protocol token. I'm starting with data NFTs because I think this makes sense from a marketplace perspective. So the purpose of data NFTs is to represent the property rights for a unique data asset. It basically represents the base IP of a data asset that I might own. It is issued upon me claiming copyright when I upload that data asset to any Ocean marketplace or other third-party marketplaces. Okay, the data set, the data NFT is obviously fungible. Why? Because each data asset is unique. These data NFTs are in theory transferable, but that really depends on me as a, for example, data, the base IP owner. Do I want to sell the whole IP to the data set? Do I, and I can only do that if I'm allowed to. You know, there might be privacy laws that prevent me from doing so. So in theory, it could be transferable. But transferability could be limited kind of by the publisher or by regulators if it would be illegal to do so. Data NFTs are not convertible. The supply, this question is not applicable because it's an NFT. It's not a currency. The stability question, for the same reason, is not applicable. The rights that are attached to the data NFT is obviously the base IP, the property right to the base IP, but also any type of management rights that I might issue together with that base ID, role assignment for data token issuance, etc. But also revenue rights. I can, as kind of the data NFT issuer, I could decide to attach revenue rights to people who consume this data NFT via data tokens. We will see the data token role later. So I can define whether or not somebody who gets access to this data NFT can generate revenue through selling, through using the data, these access right tokens. Expiry date or event. Data NFT only expires when a data publisher withdraws the data asset actively withdraws from the marketplace. A data NFT, maybe it also expires if it's delisted by a given marketplace operator because of, for example, copyright infringement or other legal reasons. Whether or not it technically expires is another question, but like it practically expires. Privacy, some privacy features. Okay, when it comes to privacy, depending on the underlying, it has the same privacy features as the Ethereum network and other supported protocols allow. Okay, the second important token type is once you have the data NFTs, you as a kind of owner of the base IP of a data asset can issue a number of data tokens. The purpose of the data tokens is to represent licenses to access the data assets, the data NFTs, right? So you're not selling the data, but you are selling the access rights to the data. Usually you're not selling the data NFT themselves. You might be in certain cases, as I said before, but usually you're selling access rights to these data assets. As a kind of data NFT owner, you can define the number of data tokens or access rights you attach to a certain data asset. Do you want to have it scarce, less scarce, expensive, less expensive? How many people should be able to access it? The data tokens are issued upon creation of a data NFT when the data publisher has to also define the number and type of licenses attached, and the licenses are represented by the data tokens. These data tokens are in themselves within a group fungible, within the group of the same data asset. You could attach 100 licenses to one data set, and these 100 licenses would be fungible within that group. Data tokens are in theory transferable, and transferability is unlimited unless a data publisher explicitly limits the transferability of these access rights, right? You might only want to grant access rights to your data sets to special people who are identified or institutions that are identified, maybe also for privacy reasons. If you want to only share, for example, data you have for research purposes, you might want to limit transferability in this case. You might only want to identify the buyer of the people who can access that data should only be researchers, for example. That would be an example in limiting the transferability. In theory, they can be unlimited. In practice, you could limit the transferability. Data tokens are convertible. When do they convert? Upon expiry date or expiry event. If you used an access right, the data token expires, or if the data token comes with an attached expiry date by the data token issuer, then it would kind of burn or get burned and thus converted upon expiry date. Okay,
I think Sorry, okay, Vishnu raised the question, but I think it was now answered by this explanation of expiration of the data tokens.
Yes.
All good.
We will
Thanks.
go, there is a section on expiration date and event a bit later. If you still have questions, I'm happy to. So supply, in this case, it's not a currency, but obviously you have the supply of, or kind of the amount, let's say, of data tokens, right, issued. This is determined by the data publisher, depending on the data asset and the revenue preferences. It's very, very subjective. So the data issuer will define the supply. Stability is not applicable because it's not a currency. It represents, the data tokens represent an access right. So the price can be determined by the data publisher. And your pricing policy will depend on your personal revenue preferences or distribution preferences. Do you want many people to use it or not? The price could be zero, it could be for free. Rights that are attached are obviously access rights, usage rights, and actually potentially also revenue rights. I forgot that here. We should include revenue rights here. If revenue rights, if you can build products on top of it and make money, obviously generate revenues on top of that data. Expiry date and event, as I said, event 1, burned upon consumption. Event 2, time-based, if defined by the license terms and if time has expired. Does that answer the question? Any question regarding this? Okay. Privacy, again, same privacy features as the Ethereum network and other supported networks. Ocean token, as I said, that was the first token that was issued in version 1 of the protocol. Purpose, it has various purposes. It's the internal currency and medium of exchange of the Ocean protocol that can be used for network payments. However, I think that's interesting. It's not the only marketplaces or marketplace payments. It is not the only accepted token. I think the protocol founders, what Trent told me, they really wanted to make it inclusive and not tie it to their token, kind of not create any lock-in effects. Ocean, the second purpose is to create a convertible governance token for data curation or for staking and slashing of prediction fees, right? So by locking the token, we will have a look at that a bit later. Ocean tokens are issued upon, initially, they were pre-mined at Project Genesis. And then the continuous issuance, and then it was identified how many tokens over time will be distributed to which sub-wallets and stakeholder groups and purposes. So based on the initial issuance, there is a continuous issuance on a yearly basis in decreasing manner according to the predetermined issuance and distribution rules. The token is fungible in value. However, transaction history is public on the Ethereum blockchain, so discrimination, as we know, is possible in theory. Tokens can be tainted, but in theory, it's fungible. Ocean tokens are transferable. Transferability is unlimited unless they are temporarily locked up for creating Vocean for voting purposes. And we will look at Vocean in the next slide. This means that they're also convertible, yes, because by locking them, I can I convert the Ocean token temporarily into a Vocean token for voting purposes. Supply was limited to 1.41 billion tokens. It was, as I said, pre-mined, held in various multi-sig wallets for various beneficiary groups, which are all allocated over time according to the predetermined ratio and schedule. already said that. Ocean token was designed without a stability mechanism, which means that the price is determined by market forces, supply and demand on internal and external markets. The rights attached to the Ocean token, obviously it represents a property right. It's an asset, it's the internal currency of the system, and the derived revenue rights. If the tokens are locked or saved, you can earn interest. We will see that later. You also have convertible voting rights. Voting, as I said, we will see that also later with Voshn, does not refer to protocol change voting, but rather voting over the quality of data sets, for example. There is an expiry event because 5% of the network taxes collected in Ocean are burned on a regular basis. This is to decrease the supply. These tokens are burned, therefore expire. Privacy is the same. Okay. Yeah, Voshn is the last one before we get to Voshn, because we discussed the Ocean tokens. Ocean tokens did not come with an inbuilt stability function. Eventually, I don't know, I don't recall exactly now, but H2O was designed to provide a native stable token for the Ocean protocol system. It's a stable unit. The purpose is to be a stable unit of account and medium of exchange to determine the price of data assets. It is issued upon locking Ocean into an escrow contract. The token is fungible in value. It is transferable. It is convertible because it can be burnt and converted back into Ocean. So it is created by locking Ocean, and it is destroyed and converted back into Ocean when it's being burned. The supply is limited, is not really limited. It's only it's limited to the amount of Ocean token holders in existence and the amount of token holders willing to swap their Ocean or lock their Ocean against H2O. So it has a stability mechanism, obviously being a stable token. The mechanism is a crypto collateralized mechanism without a hard peg. It's more or less free floating around the price range. And I think they copied an existing stable token protocol, more or less the rules of, which one was it? I forgot the name. I know which one it is, but I forgot the name. Rights, obviously it's a property right. There are no other right attached to it. The expiry event is when being swapped back for Ocean, and privacy, same again as Ethereum. Last but not least, the complex topic of Voshn. Voshns, the purpose of Voshns, there are different applications of Voshns, but basically we can sum up that Voshns can be used to vote on the quality of data sets. This is one big purpose range. And the other one is to engage in macroeconomic policies by locking them up. They're issued by locking up Ocean into a Voshn escrow contract for a predetermined time or event, upon which you can earn interest. This is why it's also part of a macroeconomic policy of the network. The tokens are fungible. They are not transferable. And they are converted. Yes, they're convertible because they are converted when kind of the voting period or the lockup period for earning interest expires. They're converted back to Ocean. The supply is capped or limited to the total number of people willing to contribute their Ocean tokens and the amount they hold, or lock up their Ocean tokens and the amount they hold. In certain cases, the ocean balance decreases over time until the lockup period ends. I think they changed that several times, so I'm not quite sure if that is still applicable. Stability is not applicable. It's kind of a, it's not applicable. The rights attached are voting rights over quality of data sets in data farming programs. Not sure if the data farming, this has changed so much also, but I think it's still applicable. Also revenue rights for ocean rewards in data farming programs, and there are passive rewards and active rewards. The expiry date or expiry events. So event 1 is when voting period ends, if it is used for voting on data sets. Event 2 is when staking, aka locking period ends, if it is used for saving and or voting. Which is always why I get confused, because two things are mixed up. Kind of voting is mixed up with earning money. This is a design principle that some protocols do. I'm not a big fan of it, but this is my personal opinion. Same privacy features as the Ethereum network and other supported networks. So I hope this gave you some kind of an overview of the 5 different tokens and the different properties. I know it's quite a lot, but I urge you in the future to really take the properties and analyze them in detail. To sum up the case, yes, is there any question?
Yeah, we have 2 or 3 questions. Okay. Maybe I can read it out.
Please.
Vishnu asks, how is stability achieved here? And this refers, I guess, to the stable coin H2O.
You're muted.
Shermin, you're muted, I guess. Just check to unmute yourself.
I'm in a hotel room, and in the next room there are 3 children yelling. This is why
I see. We can't hear it, so it should be fine. Okay, stability, H2O.
Yes, it's a crypto collateralized, floating, free floating without the hard peg.
Vishnu, feel free to dig.
Yes, if you want to know. But if you're interested in knowing more, their website provides more interest, and I analyze it a little bit in more. I don't think so. If you want to, I don't know what exactly you want to know, because we can now go into the details of stability mechanisms.
I mean, the price of the token, like it remains stable over time. That's what is meant by stability, right? It's not as volatile as the
it is token. Less volatile than the other ones.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
If you're interested in the topic of, yes, stable tokens in the end are designed. There are different types of stable tokens, and stable tokens, the purpose of stable tokens is you have kind of a target asset against which you try to stabilize it. And the stability can be a kind of hard peg, for example, to the US dollar or any other type of asset, or ETH, or maybe ETH doesn't make sense. Usually stable tokens are hard pegged to some kind of a fiat currency that has less inflation, right? But a stability is always relative, because against which asset, right? And in this case, it's a crypto collateralized, algorithmic crypto collateralized, without a hard peg, but free floating. They took the protocol. What is a means stable token? I forgot the name, but they basically took forked the rules of that stable token.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can drop a link. Okay.
Thank you.
And the other was rather a comment than a question. Now, what happens to the ocean token and properties of this token once the merger is complete and we have the ASI token in place?
This is something you should ask Trent, because I don't know. I analyzed the use case before I knew about the merger. Trent told me something big is happening. He couldn't tell me what. I honestly don't know. This is, you will have to ask Trent or any other people involved in the Ocean Protocol Foundation.
It will be certainly exciting to follow.
Yes.
As this is all in the making now. Okay.
Yeah, it is all in the making. Maybe to sum up also the use case. So if we look at the power structures, we have, so I looked at 4 aspects: policymaking power, voting power, executive power, and market power. Policymaking power, as we said, only core team members of the Ocean Protocol Foundation have coordinate all protocol evolution. Trent said that the aim is to, obviously, as more and more mechanisms solidify, less and less kind of policymaking or rule changes will be necessary, so it can become as permissionless as possible. So they expect that the kind of this policymaking power that the Ocean Protocol Foundation has at the moment eventually is already fading and should eventually fade even more, so that policymaking beyond the fine-tuning of certain economic parameters should be impossible, like just economic parameters that are, and then it is still unclear if and when this fine-tuning of the economic parameters, by who will be executing this fine-tuning. Currently, it is being executed by the core team members of the Ocean Protocol Foundation. Maybe in the future, it will be a decentralized voting process. We don't know, right? I think they don't know yet. And post-merger, things have changed anyhow. So. Voting power. So here the question is who can vote and how has that changed over time? What is maybe worth mentioning is that initially Ocean token holders could vote on the allocation of funds through a grants DAO that used to exist. This grants DAO doesn't exist anymore. Only for the allocation of funds, grants to certain projects. Today, Ocean token holders have no voting power over protocol evolution or funding allocation in any kind of way. And as I said before, and here I can only quote Trent, that he said that they want to minimize the probability. Oh, the reason that they stopped the grants DAO was that they wanted to minimize the probability that the purpose of the Ocean Protocol gets hijacked by special interest groups, because the grants DAO wasn't running for a long time. But even through this short period of time, they already saw that special interest groups were trying to hijack the direction of the protocol, or at least the grants, and this is why they stopped it in the end. They want, so the idea is to limit voting power to data curation via Ocean tokens. As for executive power, initially the founders and team members of BigchainDB GmbH in Berlin had a lot of executive power over the evolution and maintenance of the protocol, community management, marketing, etc. As the protocol was deployed, stakeholders participating in the market mechanisms, such as data publishers and data consumers, also received decentralized executive power over provision of data assets and consumption of data services or assets, according to the predefined market rules. Ocean token holders have, as I said before, executive powers over certain macroeconomic policies, because they can engage in contracting the or expanding the amount of ocean in circulation via locking up their ocean or unlocking their ocean. And the mechanism here is to incentivize locking up of ocean tokens against interest paid. Today, Ocean Protocol Foundation has executive powers to decide on potential sanctioning of illegally uploaded data sets, where but only once an IP claim has been made. Yeah, so these are, as for market power, obviously, the data markets kind of operators, data publishers, and data consumers make and break the systems. They have most of the market-making power. Ocean token holders have market power to enter or exit the Ocean protocol ecosystem via buying, holding on to, converting, or selling their Ocean tokens. And last but not least, if we look at what was Ocean's purpose, and after so many years, what is the reality of what have they achieved, and where might be challenges. So when it comes to token and market design for data assets and data services, I can say that Ocean Protocol has succeeded at providing, from my point of view, a token design for representing data assets and data service that are publicly verifiable. They've really set up a solid kind of use case and best practice for IP exchange and IP access to IP over this token design and the token exchange. They've been very successful, I think, also in setting up this data exchange in a privacy-preserving manner. They introduced a set of practical and necessary privacy mechanisms for the consumption of data services, provision and consumption in the end. Traction seems to be the biggest challenge. When I spoke to Trent, the protocol is still lacking broader user adoption. That might be the case because they started as a general purpose data market, and data is a very broad asset class, and more specialized market mechanisms around specialized data classes are probably needed to emerge before Ocean Protocol will see significant user adoption. And I think that this is the reason why a few months ago they introduced Ocean Predictor as such a specialized market for prediction, data prediction, or for prediction markets. The foundation is currently focusing, or at the time of interview, end of last year, was focusing on supporting the community to build more specialized data market applications on top of Ocean Protocol to mitigate this challenge of lack of traction, right? So they have a great idea, it's very timely, it's well done, token-wise, and when it comes to on the technical level from a privacy-preserving mechanism, but they probably started too general and need to create more specialized marketplaces. The only real challenge that I see, or criticism that I would have, is the way they try to resolve the curation of quality data. This is my personal opinion, right? And I've discussed this a bit with Trent also, because the way they're trying to curate data, quality data, is through their data farming incentive mechanism, for example, which they introduced for Ocean Market. But such this mechanism, in my opinion, does not sufficiently incentivize the curation of niche data assets. For example, active data farming mechanism only incentivizes the curation of data sets that are expected to be popular and generate more traffic via financial betting game, right? Like you can basically bet what is going to be more popular, but what is more popular is not relevant in a niche market, right? So I think that the curation mechanism try to lean on financial mechanisms, but quality data is subjective and it's not objective. So data that might be interesting and relevant to some data consumers or data scientists might not be interesting or relevant to others. So popularity is not necessarily a quality criteria, right? It's just a popularity criteria. It's a quantitative criteria. The problem for me is that the incentive mechanism of the data farming program operates on one objective function only, the popularity via the measure of data volume consumed, DCV, right? the problem might be mitigated in case, for example, enough specialized data markets exist or are deployed that cater to very specific niches, because I think in the niche you can take data this criteria, but in a general purpose market, you cannot reflect niche interests with this criteria. So maybe this will be resolved, maybe not, but this would be my biggest criticism of Ocean Protocol. I have to mention, however, that the question of curation, nobody has, or decentralized curation has not been resolved, neither in Web 2 nor in Web 3. So it's not necessarily an Ocean Protocol challenge only, right? It is a general challenge because curation, when curation is subjective, it is really hard to objectify with one mechanism. And this is the biggest challenge, I guess. Okay, so I think this is the end of my presentation. If you're interested to read up on more, in case you haven't, this use case is analyzed in more detail in the book DAOs and purpose-driven tokens. It's one of 6 use cases analyzed. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. We have one more question on the execution power. The principal dropped a note here. Doesn't this executive powers of sanctioning illegally uploaded data by the founding members bend towards centralization? And is there any chance that their decision will be biased?
Yes, I mean, this is what I said in the beginning. This is the only thing that they can't really decentralize or haven't decentralized. Maybe there are efforts to decentralize this a bit more, but basically you have to see, I don't know how you want to decentralize a mechanism. You can automate it maybe, but it's like you have to check IP law, right? So why should you do this in a decentralized fashion? I don't, yes, it's a point of centralization in the protocol. I'm not sure there is a mechanism to decentralize this, but again, I think it would make more sense to ask the founders of Ocean.
Right, and there was Susie sharing a tweet from our account. Basically, I have to check. This tweet was about, yeah, right. We published, just recently published a piece in the Token Engineering Reads about the value creation loop. This is summarizing Trend's latest work and update on how to capture value in the Ocean token ecosystem, looking at the predictor case. So basically, it's a complementary read to this analysis of Shermin.
Yeah, I mean, Ocean Predictor is a very special marketplace that they created after everything. Yeah.
All right. I think we have around 10 minutes left. So I don't know if we have time for some final comments.
Yes. Any final comments, questions? This is our last session. You're welcome to.
Alex Soto. Yeah, you raised your hand. Switch on your mic.
Yes, thank you. Again, I have a general question. It's actually the question I did like a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
My impression is that like incentive mechanisms needs to be really good, well designed, because there are economic implications. So if you do it wrong, then there's a lot of money or cost. At the same time, I am seeing in this example that the token is evolving in so many ways. New tokens are created. Now there is a merge. So like, I don't really understand what is like the minimum viable model in order for you to actually start implementing. Because I feel sometimes that waiting it for, like, because it's a complex system, you will learn more by interacting with the population. So do you have any observations or just reflection
No,
on
I
that?
think actually trend is, again, I only analyze this use case as an external kind of expert. I can't say for sure, because I think minimum viable, I think economic, you mean minimum viable, or the minimum activity around a market. Are you asking for that? How many?
Maybe not considering this specific use case.
Yes.
But like, for example, in a DAO where you want to have like a purpose-driven token, you obviously need to start interacting with the community.
Yes.
To tweak.
Usage is exactly. So I think I said that in the first or second session. So we have this criteria of minimum viable economy. Minimum viable economy, because any system you start, you need, it's probably going to be some marketplace around something, right? Block space for blockchain networks, data assets for data exchange. And you need probably some minimum stakeholders who participate in this to make it economically feasible, or to start some traction. That depends really on the use case. I don't think there is an objective number. Yeah, that unfortunately. But and I think we said that also in the beginning. For example, in the case of a data exchange, where you have data providers and you have data buyers, you need both, right? If you have nobody selling data, you might have a lot of people interested in data, but there is no asset they can sell, can buy. So I think rather than minimum economy, you have to look at enough supply of your initial asset class, whatever it is, and creating enough demand so it makes it is more attractive for people to supply whatever asset, right? In a social network, the asset would be content curation, content that you provide to a social network. Obviously, people will only be interested to provide to a social network if enough people are using it, right? And there are not exact numbers, but the balance needs to be right, and you need to create a minimum noise and traction and activity in the beginning, and then keep engaging so it grows, I guess that is the magic, but there are no exact numbers from my experience.
It would be so cool to have some. We don't. That's why token engineering is fun, and it's so challenging.
I think we have another question.
Yeah, Gisa raised her hand.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the verification of data. How exactly does this happen? So how does, if the providers of data provides this data, then how does it get verified?
You mean verified if they own the base IP?
Yeah, for example, but
no. So basically, in Ocean is designed in a way you upload data. By uploading data, you claim that you have the copyright. I don't think you have to prove it, right? But then, if somebody is of the opinion that you infringed copyright, they can make a claim for that data set. At that moment, the data set goes into a purgatory process. And is not available until the matter is resolved by the Ocean Protocol Foundation.
Yes, I've muted you swiftly because there were some background noises, but feel free to switch on your mic again.
Okay, yeah, now I got it. Okay, so Ocean Protocol verifies then the data when
no, they don't verify the data. They only check if somebody made a claim.
Made a claim if this data was provided by somebody else. But how do we know that the data is correct?
Only if somebody makes a claim.
Oh, okay. It's a claim
it's a claim that they don't own the IP. Then it's taken down. It's like YouTube.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Okay, so it's rather that somebody else says this is my data. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Good.
there are so many more flavors to explore for the Ocean Protocol, looking at this new data merger, the new plans, and the new potential for creating an AI economy. So I think next year we could run another round and could look at the ocean economy and detect entirely new aspects to it. For now, I think we are fine. It was a lot of content, and I'm so glad to have you, Shermin. Thank you so much for sharing this amazing analysis and sharing this framework. I'm sure this is super useful for so many when designing or analyzing tokens to structure it. There are so many aspects to analyze, and it helps the overall total field of token engineering. So thank you so much for hosting this live track and contributing to the study season.
Okay, yep, thank you.
I'll now move to Discord and invite everybody to do the same, to check out the list of recipients of the NFT. And again, we'll share more information how to receive this NFT and how to take part in the voting for the fellowship prize winner. The NFT gives you additional voting power. Don't forget this. And we'll also share more information where to get Shermin's books and how to follow up with her activities in the future. So thank you so much, Shermin. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating in this live track. Sure.
Ciao.
Thanks. See you soon at TE Academy.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
The recording has stopped.